Hello, welcome to Lil's Vintage World. This video is a book review of Which Way by Theodora Benson, first published in 1931 but has recently been republished by the British Library as part of their British Library Women Writers series, and this video is part of the British Library Women Writers series blog tour where myself and a bunch of bloggers and vloggers are coming together, and every few days we are writing or we are videoing book reviews on these new releases. So I have this one, and this one. These two I've already reviewed for you. They're already up on my channel, so you can go and watch those. If you want to hear what other people are saying about these new releases, then go and check out the British Library's social media, and you can see what other people are saying about these wonderful books. So Which Way by Theodora Benson is about a woman called Claudia who we see grow up, and then we see her get to this point in her early 20s where she has two kind of paper invitations, and then the phone goes and there's another invitation, and she makes a decision, and based off that decision of which one she goes to, she has a different life with a different person. So in one way she answers an invitation and she ends up being single herself but in a relationship with a married man, so essentially a mistress. In another way she ends up marrying a different man but is kind of unhappily married, unsatisfactorily married. And in another aspect she is married and she is a mother. So each time she answers one of these invitations, her life then changes, and it's one of these which way is she going to go, hence Which Way. Clever. I really enjoyed this book. I really liked the character of Claudia. With Claudia, when she's in a different situation, she kind of, different parts of her character and personality come out, and I liked her more in certain aspects than I did others. So when she's with a certain person, I'm like, oh, I liked you more. I was just like, oh, I don't like you then. And the way there's certain storylines that happen each time and the way she reacts becomes different. And I was like, oh, that's a bit colder. Oh, that's very kind and caring. That type of thing. And that was a really, really interesting aspect. It's a really interesting book on human behaviour, particularly because we're talking about a woman's life in terms of relationships, and I just found it fascinating. It kind of reminded me of my favourite book. So my favourite book of all time, if push comes to shove and I have to pick, is Miss Pettigrew Lives for a Day by Winifred Watson, which is also a book from the 1930s. It's 1938. And it's also a book that has been republished as well. And Miss Pettigrew Lives for a Day is one of these books where it's very much kind of, it's a bit like a swan. This is what I think this book is. It's like a swan book. So on the top, their lives look really glamorous and woo, bohemian, yeah, part of that set. But underneath, actually, they're working a lot harder to kind of stay in control. And I feel like Delicia LaFosse in Miss Pettigrew and Claudia are very similar in that regard. They're both part of this kind of young 20-something bohemian, I can do what I like. It's the 1930s, it's this interwar period of women and change and rise of individualisation with women. And women can be single, yes. Women can work, yes. And it's more socially acceptable. It's not always the done thing, but it is more socially acceptable. And it's a really interesting book because it's looking at what a woman's life of a certain class, what they can expect to achieve in the 1930s. And that was fascinating because Claudia doesn't need to work. All she is concerned about is her. The relationships that she makes, the friendships that she makes, what she's going to do on a day-to-day basis. And as part of that, it's which way in which she answers these invitations will then give her the happiest life. And you may be surprised by that. I really enjoyed this book. It's very me, it's very much of its age. I felt like when I was reading this book, I literally had just stepped back into the 1930s. It's a very much, if you're into social history, you will love this book. If you're into women's history, you will love this book. It's very much of its period. It's one of those books that, you know, you couldn't write now because women's lives are so different now. But, oh, it's of its time. And it's this wonderful, beautiful time capsule that I absolutely adored. So there we have it. That is my review of Which Way by Theodora Benson. As I said, I really enjoyed it. If you want to get your hands on a copy of Which Way, I will leave the British Library shop for you, in which you can go and check out this title and some of the others too, including these two here. But as you know, there's lots in the Women's Writers series, and of course they have lots of other goodies in their shops, books and just bookish gifts in general. Why not have a browse? Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments section if you have read Which Way, if you have it on your wish list. I'm dying to know. So thank you so much for watching. Take care, and I shall see you again soon for the next video. Bye for now.